Hello, welcome to that Manufacturers Hub podcast. It's finally nice to have you on. I know you're quite a frequent traveller, so it's been quite hard to actually pin you down and have the podcast. Yes, it's great to have you on. I've actually been following Scientech for a while, actually. Being from the automation sector myself, I've seen some of your machines actually around in different factories. Look like obviously great pieces of kit. So I know I've just hinted, say, the automation sector anyway. You're from an automation company. And I'm from that sector as well. But I'll let you do the intro on who are Scientech.
Yeah, thanks for the intro. Yeah, it's good to be finally on the podcast. Now we've talked about it for a long while, so yeah, really pleased to be here. Yeah, Scientech design and build automated systems, typically bespoke systems. We do have some modular automated systems that we offer in certain sectors. But we typically design and manufacture pieces of equipment from a blank sheet of paper as such. So from a customer's specification, our sales team will come up with a concept. We'll offer that as a quotation to the customer, and then if we're successful in winning the business, we pass that over to our design team, and they basically fulfill our dream in terms of the concept that we've come up with from a commercial point of view, at the quotation stage, and then we design and manufacture a machine to the customer's specification. Like I say, we do have some modular systems that we would at the quoting stage we would look to use those as a modular platform to design and build a machine, because that can be more cost effective in terms of engineering resource, so it can lower lead times, but also be a more cost-effective solution for the customer. But yeah, we've been going.
So you've
Sorry.
got like a main base of a machine, and then you've got to integrate smaller bits in each one. So I'll say they might have an initial cost or a main machine, is it? And then you just do the modular systems to kind of integrate with those after the initial
Yeah,
run.
yeah, exactly. So like on the modular platforms, it'd be a fairly standard type of like base frame, guard frame, machined like mechanisms to hold certain pieces of equipment, whether that be robot, laser, inkjet equipment, etc. Leak test equipment, um, and yeah, we would use that platform, but we can obviously grow and shrink those modular platforms to suit the customer's demands as well. So that's why they're modular, not standard. We don't produce a standard machine, but yeah, we're working towards that sort of thing really, which, like I say, benefits all parties, because it allows us as a company to grow in terms of turnover without growing our staff levels too rapidly, which we've always been very careful of.
So is there a sector they kind of specialize in the industry? Is it, say, just pharmaceutical or food or automotive, or just kind of general everything?
Yeah, well, we are very diverse in terms of the industry sector, but we've got two main specialisms, which would be industrial inkjet machines, so manufacturing bespoke and modular industrial inkjet machines, and also laser-based machines. So, and they can be in automotive, food and bev, pharmaceutical, defence, nuclear, aerospace, consumer products. We're quite big into at the moment. So yeah, we're in a wide range of different industries. But in terms of the equipment that we produce, it's very much robotic based. We do an awful lot of 6-axis SCARA, palletizing robots, integrating robots into an automated solution. But when we also do what we would call more traditional automation, where we're using servo-driven gantry systems to manipulate either the component or the technology, whether that's the laser head or the inkjet head or something else. We do an awful lot of other bespoke equipment too. So whether that's like a bespoke dispensing system or a bespoke spraying system or a leak test piece of equipment, but however we need to manipulate the part or the processing tool, we typically use gantry systems, robots, conveyors to move those devices and parts around.
So I did. I got invited around a national research centre last year actually, and I saw one of your machines in there. Do you
Yeah.
do much for like the R&D sector or?
We have done, yeah, over the last probably getting up to 10 years now. We've done a lot in the R&D sector, putting in a lot of laser based equipment. So, and typically high powered laser based equipment. So not small laser marking systems or laser cleaning systems, but big systems that have been used for research and development, for some quite big players in the market. So big players in the aerospace and automotive market. The idea really is they use our equipment to do some pre-production testing before they decide on the methodology that they're going to follow for their actual production. And the big benefit to Scientech of having that equipment in at those R&D centres is that we are quite often the beneficiary then of winning the orders for the actual production equipment. Not always, obviously. It's still a very fair tendering system in a lot of places. Where they go out for
We go for a few quotes, don't they?
exactly, yeah, they'll go out for a few quotes, but you're in the driving seat when you've already done a lot of the R&D work, because you know a lot of the background of the product and the history of the process as well. So yeah, that's definitely beneficial.
I know you're quite a frequent traveller as well, isn't it? So with this, do you make a lot of machines for overseas, or is a lot of it UK based? Or
We used to be heavily UK based, but in recent years we have got a few more customers abroad, which is something that we've actively tried to do, but with the right pieces of equipment. So some of the real bespoke engineered solutions that we design and manufacture, we'd be more reluctant to do those in further afield, because they take in terms of supporting those equipment, certainly in the early days of them being installed, can be much trickier than what we describe as like a modular system. So some of the modular systems that we do, we have now started to install those in a few locations around the world, which is really getting us on the map with not just the customers that we're dealing with, but also the suppliers that we're working with. Some of the big players in like the robotics market. So we work heavily with ABB and Fanuc, and we're partners of both of those. And in the laser sector, Trumpf, IPG and Coherent are all big partners of ours. So they've got a presence in a lot of these countries. So once we start to go to these other countries and install automation, it gives us a potential of working with them again in other areas, which gives us boosts our potential really as a company.
do you normally find it's quite challenging working in these countries, especially with getting the staff to go over there and commission the machines as well, or do you have a pretty good staff line so they're just prepared for that action?
Yeah, it obviously can have its challenges. Certainly when you've got a workforce of as we were discussing just before we came on air, that when you've got young children, it can be a challenge to travel for significant periods of time. But we've got a really good bunch of engineers. We've got some very experienced members of the team, but we have also got some new up and coming members of the team that are very willing to travel, keen to get experience, and are very, very good. Really high quality engineers that the customers have enjoyed working with as well. So yeah, it's been a real nice process really, because we have had plenty of hands going up when we've asked who's willing to travel to these countries. But yeah, certainly in the past it's been more of a challenge.
Yeah, no, I can imagine this, especially as well having the skilled engineers as well. I mean, a lot of people are saying it's hard getting the young talent in the industry at the moment. You're saying
Yeah,
you've got quite a few younger kind of employees at the moment as well.
yeah, we have. Yeah. The management team have done a really good job in terms of recruiting younger members when people have retired or moved on. But that's pretty rare at Scientech, to be honest. We've not, our staff turnover is very, very low, which is says a lot about the company and how it's ran. But yeah, the management have done brilliantly in terms of acquiring younger members of staff. We've expanded as well over the last 3 or 4 years. The levels have gone from sort of in the mid-20s to now getting towards the mid-30s, so we have added quite a lot of bodies as well. But when we've done that, we've tried to you've got to have a mixture of experience and youth, but yeah, we feel like we've got the balance almost perfectly at the moment.
Yeah, so it's hard, obviously, getting so many youngsters in as well. But to be fair, I think the automation industry is very kind of interesting as well. I'm
Yeah,
watching these machines kind of do things by themselves, or obviously building them from scratch as well. I think that it's a sector that is very kind of varied, isn't it?
yeah,
Especially with machine building or assembly, or it's not just making the components. There's the software, the design, there's commissioning, there's
yeah.
controls, there's electrical. So it's so many different sectors in there as well. And probably being a small kind of business as well, some of these roles are quite varied, where you have a bit of cross sector as well.
Yeah. No, definitely, and I think the that's one of the big sales points of joining our company, and the fact that you want have a lot of varied projects in terms of the customer base that you're working with, the actual the products that you're working with, and also the, like you say, in a small company, the ability to be flexible. And a lot of our office staff are very flexible in terms of being able to be multidisciplined, whether that's being a mechanical designer and a robot programmer, or an electrical designer and a software engineer. There's lots of crossovers between the roles, and yes, everybody's got a dedicated role, but they've all got pretty much all got multiple skills within that environment. So that definitely helps when you're trying to juggle resource around to get projects completed as well.
Do you manufacture a lot of components yourself? If you like machine shop, and do you like sub a lot of it out to local businesses, or?
Yeah, we've got a very small machine shop, but we don't manufacture anything ourselves really. We just use that for modifications and making some components. If something's changed on a machine, for example, we might make a bracket or a plate to just to get us out of trouble where we've not got the lead time to outsource it. But we've got a very good pool of engineering machine shops that we use, and fabrication companies that we've used for a number of years. Very trustworthy, very reliable, very rarely let us down on delivery, which is obviously very important. So yeah, we use them, and that's sort of our tactic of keeping the numbers down really. So when we are a little bit quieter, which over the last couple of years is complete opposite, to be honest. We really have grown in it in a time where a lot of others have struggled. We've done really well, which is great. But if we do run into leaner periods, then because we do keep the numbers down, it's easier to manage those lean periods. So that's the strategy behind outsourcing.
That's the thing as well with the, say, not every automation company is like that, but I've heard a lot from different sectors where obviously where projects are, especially I know being automotive or something like that, when you want to be very quiet for a period and suddenly you have everything ordered at once from the
Yeah,
chain. So being able to be a bit flexible with say staff and your machining kind of sector as well, and who you're employing is definitely necessary in certain sectors.
yeah, definitely.
So where are Scientech based?
We're based in the Midlands, just north of Leicester, in a place called Birstall, very close to the major road network, A46 M1, just off the M1. So pretty easy to get to, good for logistics in terms of getting machines down to the major airports in London, and also transporting throughout the UK. So yeah, pretty good location. We've got a 10,000 square foot main building with a couple of pretty good size offices, sales and admin in one, and the production department, so mechanical design, electrical design, software in the other. We have also got another building that we've not officially announced, so I guess this is a bit of an exclusive for you, but yeah, we've got another building that we're currently working on, just purely because of the expansion of the company over the last 12 to 18 months. We feel like we need some more space to spread out a little bit and maybe dedicate some of those areas to certain of modular builds, like what I was talking about earlier. We're going to start using that area for some of the modular builds. We can get that kitted out a little bit more in terms of like standardisation, just to try and make things a little bit more efficient when we're building those types of machines. So yeah, we're going to be splitting out into 2 factories, and it's actually handily located just down the road from the current head office. So that would be
it just won't be too bad of who's working in what building. Then.
No, it should be okay. Yeah, you've still got some challenges, of course, but it's as good as it could be, I think, without being in the same building.
Something that they might look to do in the future, maybe, is expand into one larger building, or
it's possible, I guess, if we get continued growth. We didn't we've not long moved into the current building. Actually, in relative terms, the company's been going about 16 years now, since the new ownership. A lot of the engineers have been together longer than that, but the actual Cyantec Systems as a company have been going around 16 years. And we moved into the current head office building just before COVID hit. In December 2019, we moved into that building. So we've not been there that long, really. But yeah, it's always a possibility, because obviously having everything under one roof has a lot of benefits. So we'll have to see how that goes in terms of the expansion.
Hard one as well, because like you said, if there is these peaks and troughs as well with the projects, is at least then if you've got the 2 buildings, you can always decide that you can cut back down to 1 again if it doesn't go well.
Yeah, exactly. That's the flexibility that we like, because it is a very peaky and trophy business, as is the case with all of our competitors, really. It can be very up and down. So yeah, again, having that flexibility in the staff, in the building, it just really helps with managing the business.
Are there any sectors that you'd like to see Scientech in, or ones they're trying to get in?
Personally, I'd like to see us in the pharmaceutical industry more. I think there's a big market there, and what we're typically very good at is being dynamic in change, and I think that industry requires that. And I think we, over the last 5 years, we've really got into the nuclear industry more, and it's very heavy on paperwork, and I think the pharmaceutical would be similar, but we're now set up to cope with that. We've got individuals that are very good at it. Whether they like it or not is probably another question, but they are now very good at it, and they understand what's required. So I would personally like to get us into the pharmaceutical industry more, and I think with both inkjet and laser there are opportunities, but also with our leak testing experience, we've built quite a lot of leak testing machines for a few big players in the automotive industry. I think there'd be some opportunities there as well. So we do work in the pharmaceutical industry, but we're sort of scratching the surface at the moment. So it'd be nice to do a bit more.
Nice, yeah, 100%. Certainly an exciting sector, and I think, as you said, with the paperwork as well on there as well, is one, obviously once you're in with one business, and I think you've done that background work as well, is easier in the future, isn't it? After that, where you can not obviously copy the paperwork, but obviously the faults behind it, and
exactly, yeah. It's just getting people into the right mindset. You know, knowing what's required and knowing what the customers need, and I think that's what we've done a really good job with that.
Good. I know obviously you said you got your expansion as well. Obviously automation for me is an industry, especially in the UK, that's going to be growing. I think it's going to be constantly growing with more and more manufacturers leaner and more efficient. Yeah. So for me, automation is going to be a sector that's going to be constantly growing. So obviously I hope that your expansion goes well. With obviously a lot of people saying that automation steals jobs. What do you think on that? Do you think it steals jobs, or do you reckon it creates jobs?
No, it is a tricky question, that one. It's the same question that gets thrown at AI a lot. I think people have just got to be. I think we've just got to react to the changes that automation can offer, and the best thing about humans is that we are able to do that very quickly. You know, we're very although people say people don't like change, actually, if you look back through history, we're actually very good at reacting to change. If you look at COVID, for example, how quickly people came up with new ideas and new inventions to cope with the time of the very strange times that were happening. And I think with automation, people have got to embrace it, and they've got to upskill themselves to maintain that automation, to improve that automation, to reprogram it. So I think that's the key. You know, we've got a lot of skilled people in this country, and rather than having them do manual labour and
repetitive work as well, isn't it? It's the boring, repetitive work that no one wants to do.
exactly, yeah, exactly. So no, I don't think it is a tricky conversation to have, and when you're walking around factories looking to automate lines, it's always the first thought really that what are people thinking of a company like yours walking around this factory looking to effectively replace them, but I think you're not. It's you're trying to redeploy them into roles that require more expertise and like you say are less boring, you know, and more engaging for them, which I think's actually a lot of people do embrace automation in our experience. A lot of people are very keen to see it and you know, work with technologies like robotics and lasers and inkjet. So but yeah, you'll always
A lot of it works with the operators as well. It's not necessarily replacing them, but some of it's just about the quality. It's about
exactly,
being
yeah,
able to produce these components exactly the same every time. And with a cobot or a robot, you can do that every single time. Even with obviously an operator still there doing the same job, but at least these parts are repetitive every single time.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is definitely one of the big sales points of automation, and they don't tend to get tired near the end of days. They don't have sick days, and there's a lot of advantages. But yeah, in my opinion, it's not to replace; it's just to redeploy.
Yeah, no, 100%. So this is something I saw. So when we had Rishi Sunak as well as Prime Minister, and he's trying to put out for these more skilled jobs and upskilling, and this is where I'm seeing actually automation is. I mean, I worked on a project before which two robots did the same job as five boring kind of operators that are standing at the end of a line, and these two robots did the same thing. But that company then employed more maintenance engineers to look after these systems. So rather than
Yeah,
having these boring jobs at the end of the line, suddenly they've just taken on two more skilled
yeah,
jobs.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think that's the way that it will go, really.
Good. So obviously, I know your role as well. Your role's kind of sales and marketing, isn't it? And then it's turned into project manager now.
Yeah, I do a bit of all of those at the moment. To be honest, like we discussed earlier, being in a SME, you have to be flexible in terms of your role. I am officially in the commercial team, like from a sales point of view. I do look after the marketing for the business as well, but at the minute I'm just looking after one major customer, so it's sort of like key account management, but that involves sales, logistics, project management, um, a lot of different roles really. But that's just purely on the basis of the amount of work that they're putting our way. You know, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of machines to build for them. So yeah, that's where I am at the moment. But yeah, very much on the sales side and trying to promote the company in its best light to get sales and to keep us driving forward. You know, I'm very positive towards the engineers that we've got. We've got a very good team, and that's what matters really. In the end, you know, we can have the best sales strategy in the world, but if you've not got the team to back it up, you can't deliver. And we really do have a great team. And in especially bespoke automation, the support and after sales support is so important because there's not YouTube videos out there where people can go and find out how to fix a problem. You know, the engineers that have been involved in designing and manufacturing these pieces of equipment, whether that's the mechanical designer or the electrical fitter on the shop floor, they all play a key role in supporting that equipment after it's left our factory and been installed into the customer's facility. So
I always found that, we're obviously being bespoke automation as well. Obviously, the guys obviously at your place building the equipment know exactly how these machines work on a daily basis. Obviously, building these, but obviously the factories they're going into, these maintenance staff are meant to remember how to fix multiple machines across different places in the factories. Them trying
exactly,
to remember exactly how your machine works. Quite
yeah,
often, you have to then rely back onto the manufacturer of the machine to come in and either make sure it's still working
of
or give
course,
them some tips and advice of how to keep it going.
yeah. I mean, we try really hard to let our customers be self-sufficient. We think that's very important, and we've been doing that recently with an overseas customer. We're just trying to make them self-sufficient because it's it's okay relying on us, but it really helps our team if they're competent in terms of being able to support the equipment on the line. So
No, great. It's what you want, really, isn't it? So
yeah,
come back to you, and at least you can support it, and obviously make sure that you can get it back up to working again at full capacity.
yeah,
And quite obviously soon, obviously having these machines broken down at a factory or a production site is quite costly to the OEM, isn't it? Or whoever's
yeah,
doing
yeah. And I think we've now got some customers that are in completely different time zones, whether that's in Asia or in America. It can be tricky to support them all around the clock. We don't offer 24-hour support, um, so that's even more important. And we have got some networks in those areas as well, both in America and in Asia. We do have some partners that we work with that also represent Scientech to help maintain and service and support the machines in the field, but the customer does play a key role.
Where can we find Scientech? It's obviously Manufacturers Hub. We're trying to help people get seen online and find obviously manufacturing's the supply chain all in one place online. But Scientech, where can people find you? Do you go to events? Do you do much online? So you've got a LinkedIn page as well.
Yeah, we try and do a little bit on LinkedIn. I don't think our industry in general is great in terms of an online presence. I think we could shout more about what we do, but I think people are scared to death about promoting what they're doing to their potential competitors, which you know you've got to be. I think you've got to be confident in what you're doing and the fact that you're doing a good job, but also some people are reluctant to show off the machines because they're not allowed to show the customer's product. So I think the more you can think outside the box and maybe like what we've done, we're going to have a marketing video launch soon, probably tomorrow. So we're recording on Tuesday, probably Wednesday, showing off printing a different component on our RoboJet machine, which is one of our modular machines. So we can't show the customer's product because that's their IP. But what we can do is we can show a different product following the same process. So that's the videos and photos are very much part of our sales tool. And like you say, yeah, we do have LinkedIn. We do go to quite a lot of the major trade shows. We're very lucky that we're able to partner with some of our like our robotics partners. Like Fanuc have been a real big supporter of ours in terms of getting us on their stand with some of our equipment. And then we have often done our own exhibition shows too. So places like MAC, PPMA, Southern Manufacturing. We've had stands at all of those shows in the past. We also do quite a lot of conferences where we're represented there in terms of doing presentations on the company, going to sort of award dinners, that type of thing. Just general networking events that are always good for promoting the business. And strategic partners are a big part of our business. So not only are they good and reliable suppliers to us, but they also often get us into new they get us new opportunities to quote for, and the laser and robot companies are very, very critical to us from that point of view.
So obviously working with them as well is a win-win, really, isn't it? If they can get you in somewhere, but you'll also be buying their products as well to then put on those machines,
Exactly.
won't you? So
Yeah.
it's definitely it's good in both parties, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think both businesses can gain from it, because ultimately, if you use a robot as an example, not many people want to just buy a robot out of a box. They want to put it into an automated system, and obviously that's where we can come in. But it works two ways. It's a two-way partnership. Also, when we get a free hand on using a robot or a laser, we use one of our strategic partners, and so they benefit from that as well. So yeah, it's leads in both directions, plus technical support on both sides as well.
Yeah. So I found before, obviously, in being in an industry as well, is that obviously some customers actually specify obviously the type of just a robotic system they want. Do you have a kind of wide scope? You mainly just stand with your partners with Fanuc and that, or can you actually do the majority of robotic systems, robotic suppliers?
Yeah, we've pretty much integrated all of the main robot manufacturers. Not in massive numbers for some of the manufacturers, but we have been involved in projects that have had all of the manufacturers. So typically, if a customer's got a different brand of robot in their factory, they wouldn't want to necessarily change that. So we're more than happy, obviously, to integrate a different robot. We've got relationships with a lot of those other companies. It's just that we don't feel as a company we can give the same level of partnership to many more companies in the same industry sector. So that's why we've decided that we partner with those two, and it's all down to people, really.
And your software guys or your programmers are actually more confident in doing those types of robots as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of the robots out there that we've used, there's always been positive feedback from our engineers. There's positives and negatives for all of the different manufacturers, but in terms of our relationships with people at those two companies, ABB and Fanuc, that we've got at the moment, it's a fairly long history now. So it becomes quite a strong partnership, all the way from sales guy at Scientech to sales guy at one of those companies, and then all the way through the engineering team. But it's that continuity that really helps drive projects through to completion. When you need that support, people know who to talk to, and they know people on a personal level. It just makes it a lot easier.
100%. So we're nearly obviously on the year end, really. So obviously you're saying about some shows and stuff you normally attend. Is there any on the plans for next year for Scientech?
We don't currently have any. We don't currently have any shows planned for next year. We have been talking about potentially taking an industrial inkjet piece of automation to a couple of shows at the back end of next year, potentially overseas. But there's nothing in firm plans yet. We are also in the process of building a demonstration piece of equipment that will be able to be taken to various shows. So like when I mentioned that in the past we've been on like the Fanuc stand, so Fanuc have like backed a number of their automation partners, put them on their stand, and then the Fanuc engineers are also there, so it sort of shows the partnership, and it shows their robots or their products being used in a real life situation. So we're currently in the process of designing and manufacturing a brand new demonstration bit of kit, which will be a little bit more interactive as well. Typically we've had a robot performing like pick and place routines, which is great, but it doesn't necessarily drag an audience in. So we're going to try and do something a little bit more out of the ordinary in terms of showing off our automation capabilities. And we're also a very strong partner with Siemens in the control side of things. So we're also going to be showing off some of their hardware and software capabilities. So yeah, that's also a real strong partnership that we've got.
So it's quite another one really for spec, really, of what businesses choose. It's normally, I find, it's between Siemens, Mitsubishi, or Rockwell, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I think majority at the moment in the UK mainly go for Siemens as well.
Yeah, that's what we were finding. To be honest, we used to be quite heavy Mitsubishi. We had a lot of engineers that were very familiar with programming Mitsubishi, but we were seeing more and more that Siemens had sold into the end user rather than the integrator route. They went direct to end user, and then it was becoming spec'd by a lot of these tier one and also end user companies. So that's the route that we took, and as we've got new engineers on board, they've become trained on Siemens kit. So yeah, that's the route that we go. But similar to the robots, we do still also offer other control systems when requested, but our standard is Siemens, and that standardisation is very important. Whether it's robots, lasers, control systems, safety systems, if you keep chopping and changing, it's very difficult to keep up to date with those companies. Product updates, licenses. There's a lot of things that you then have to manage, and I think we've got a lot better at that. Just as we've evolved as a bunch of engineers and a team of people, we have got better at managing that, which I think is important.
I mean, it kind of streamlines as well, especially with like the design stage as well. If you know you're already going to put that into a machine straight away, then they know they
Yeah,
can kind of have a basis. They can copy kind of certain things from a previous machine, just
exactly.
and then they've got the basis there. They can get on with their project a lot quicker.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, no, I think that's, like I say, really important. Even if it's down to some of the smaller components, sensors and cylinders and things like that. If you're giving people free rein to go from an engineering point of view, just to go to anybody and everybody on the market, you just don't get any continuity in terms of the whole way through the business. Even something that people might not give it any thought, but from a purchasing point of view, if you're having to raise so many orders, you've then got all that paperwork that follows for so many different companies, and really you can probably buy a lot of that from quite a small supplier base. So it's all about, and as you get bigger, you've got to get smarter with that. And I think we've seen a growth from sort of around the 4, 5, 6 million mark to double that in the current year. So we've had to become smarter from that point of view. So like I said earlier about evolving, I think we are great at being able to change. We just don't give ourselves enough credit for that.
I think a lot of people like that, and a lot of businesses like that. So
Yeah,
we're like backing ourselves, and like you said earlier, is being more confident in what you are building, in the products you are building. So
yeah,
if you are putting out a decent product as well, is that why would your customers want to change to somewhere else? You should be more confident in what you are building.
yeah. No, absolutely, yeah.
So is there anything you want to add on the Scientech side of it? Is there anything new coming out? I know you obviously briefly mentioned about the expansion. Is there anything you want to add?
No, other than like I say, we are really pushing on the industrial inkjet side. We are looking to launch like the RoboJet machine as a modular system. We've manufactured quite a lot of these machines now, and we're looking for new customers that could be looking for a robotic print system for printing onto 3D complex shapes. So if people are interested in learning more about that, then we'd be delighted to talk to them and show them. We can show them live demonstrations. We can show them video demonstrations. We can explain about the capabilities of it. The positives and negatives. Sometimes we'll point people in a different direction in terms of a technology if we think that it's not the right solution for them. Because but inkjet does have a lot of benefits over some of its competition, and it's an area that we have a lot of knowledge in. So yeah, I think that's the big thing really, is the expansion and the launch of that new modular machine. That's it really, I think.
Great. Well, it's obviously nice to hear more about obviously Scientech and what they're up to. It's nice to hear about your partnerships as well. So I'm sure a lot of people will be interested as well, especially some of your suppliers and recommendations of their kit. So
Yeah,
it's great to finally have you on the podcast. Finally catch us. So I look forward to seeing more of your news on expansion and the kit going through. So Yeah, great to have you on, and yeah, hopefully we should be able to we'll post this episode soon.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
If you want more customers, you've got two choices. You either pay for Google Ads or you hope that you're within the top 10 on Google search.
There's over 100,000 manufacturing businesses in the UK, but how do they get found? I had that problem working for an engineering company in Essex with no marketing budget. How could new customers find us?
My name's Kevin and I'm the co-owner of Manufacturers Hub, and we've come up with a solution to get your business found online. Join us today to boost your online presence. Click the sign up link.